Captain Kim Do-ho walked slowly across the bridge of his spaceship. The U's Harmony was flying through space on a normal patrol mission. Nothing exciting had happened for weeks. The stars looked the same as always through the big window at the front of the ship. Day-Ho was tired. Space patrols were boring most of the time. His crew of 25 people had been away from Earth for 3 months now, missed their families, and wanted to go home soon. "Captain, I am getting something strange on the radio," said Park Mina. She was the ship's communication officer. Her job was to listen for messages from other human ships or from Earth. Day-Ho walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" Mina put her hand to her earpiece. She was listening carefully to something. "It is not from any human ship. The sounds are very different, like music, but with numbers hidden inside." Lee Soo-jin, the weapons officer, looked up from her computer. "Sir, the signal is coming from the Kepler 442 star system. That is very far from here. No human colonies exist there." Day-Ho felt his heart beat faster. For many years, humans had wondered if other intelligent life existed in the galaxy. The government had rules about this. If humans ever met aliens, they had to report it immediately. They were not allowed to make contact on their own. "Can you understand what the message says?" Day-Ho asked me, Dashna. Mina worked on her computer for several minutes. She used special programs to break down the signal. Slowly, words began to appear on her screen. "Captain, this is incredible. The message is a cry for help. The beings sending. It call themselves Zephyrians. They live on a water world. Someone called the Korthok Empire is attacking them." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing to listen. Mina continued reading from her screen. "The Zephyrians are asking anyone who receives this message to help them. They say their cities are burning. Their people are dying. They have sent this message to every part of the galaxy, hoping someone will come." Engineer Yoon Taemin looked worried. "Captain, Earth Command gave us clear orders. We cannot contact alien species without permission. Could get in serious trouble." Day-Ho knew Taemin was right. The Galactic Council had been watching humans for years. They thought humans were too dangerous and violent. The Council had rules that kept humans away from other species. But this was different. This was not about politics or exploration. This was about life and death. "How long would it take us to reach their system?" Day-Ho asked his navigation officer. "At maximum speed, about 18 hours, sir," replied Han Minesio. Day-Ho looked around at his crew. These were good people. They had families back on Earth. They had joined the space service to protect humanity and explore the stars. But now they faced a choice that could change everything. "Sir," said Dr. Jang So-young, the ship's medical officer, "if what the message says is true, an entire species could be wiped out while we wait for orders from Earth." Day-Ho knew she was right. It would take days to send a message to Earth and get a reply. By then, the Zephyrians might all be dead. "What if it is a trap?" asked Tactical Officer Bae Jun-ho. "What if these Korthok people are trying to trick us? Then we deal with that when it happens," Day-Ho said. "But what if it is real? What if people are dying right now while we do nothing?" The captain looked at each member of his crew. He saw the same thoughts in their eyes that he felt in his heart. They had all joined the space service for the same reason. They wanted to help people and make the galaxy a better place. "I am going to ask each of you to vote," Day-Ho said. "Hey, we can follow orders and report this to Earth Command. Or we can go to Kepler 442 and try to help these Zephyrians. But if we go, we might be breaking the law, might never be allowed to serve in space again." One by one, each crew member raised their hand to vote. Navigation Officer Han Minesio voted to go. Communications Officer Park Mina voted to go. Medical Officer Dr. Jang So-young voted to go. Even Engineer Yoon Ta-min, who had reminded them about orders, voted to go. The vote was unanimous. All 25 crew members wanted to help the Zephyrians. "Very well," said Captain Kim Day-Ho. "Set course for Kepler 442, maximum speed." U's Harmony turned toward the distant star system. Its engines roared to life, pushing the ship faster than it had ever gone before. Behind them, the normal patrol route was forgotten. Ahead of them lay the unknown. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, Day-Ho wondered what they would find when they arrived. Would they be able to help? Were they strong enough to fight an empire? Would they even survive? One thing was certain. When someone cried for help, humans answered. It was who they were. The youth Harmony dropped out of hyperspace with a violent shake. Captain Kim Dae-ho gripped his chair as the ship's engines powered down. Through the main window, he saw a sight that made his blood run cold. A beautiful blue planet hung in space before them, but around it were dozens of huge alien ships. These vessels were dark and angular, like giant metal spears pointed at the world below. Bright flashes of light shot from the ships down to the planet's surface. The ocean was glowing with fires, burning beneath the water. "Captain, I count 16 enemy ships," reported Lee Soo-jin from her weapons station. "They're much larger than us. Each one could destroy our ship easily." Park Mina worked frantically at her communication station. "Sir, I am picking up signals from the planet. The Zephyrians are still alive down there, but barely." On the main screen, a face appeared. It was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The being had smooth, pale blue skin that seemed to glow. Softly, large dark eyes filled most of its face. When it spoke, its voice sounded like singing. "Please, if anyone can hear this message, help us. I am Veltar, of the Zephyrian people. Our cities are burning, our children are dying. The Korthak Empire has been attacking us for 3 days. We cannot fight them much longer." Dae-ho felt anger building in his chest. These peaceful beings were being slaughtered, and no one in the galaxy was helping them. "Captain, the enemy ships have detected us," warned Han Minesio. "They are turning toward us." 6 of the huge Korthok ships began moving away from the planet. They formed a perfect line, like soldiers marching in a parade. Their movements were slow and predictable. "They want to fight us," said Tactical Officer Bae Jun-ho. "But look how they move. Very formal. It's very organized." Dae-ho studied the enemy formation. In human military school, they had learned about many different fighting styles. Some species fought with honor codes. Others followed ancient traditions. The Korthoks seemed to be one of these groups. They expect us to line up and fight them. The same way, Dae-ho realized. Ship to ship. Fair and square. Lee Soo-jin looked up from her weapons controls. "Sir, we only have 1 ship. They have 6. If we fight them fairly, we will lose." "Then we don't fight them fairly," Dae-ho said. With a cold smile, the captain activated the ship's communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. We're about to engage in combat with hostile alien forces. These enemies are attacking innocent people who ask for our help. We may be outnumbered, but we are not outmatched. Human tactics have never failed us before." The Harmony suddenly changed direction. Instead of forming a battle line, it dove straight down toward the planet. The Korthok ships hesitated, confused by this unexpected move. "Sir, 2 more human ships are dropping out of hyperspace," reported Han Minesio excitedly. The Defiance and the Resolute heard our distress call and came to help. Captain Park Jin-woo of the Defiance appeared on the communication screen. "Dae-ho, what is the situation?" 16 Korthok ships attacking peaceful civilians," Dae-ho replied quickly. "They fight with formal tactics. We need to hit them fast and hard before they adapt." The 3 human ships spread out in different directions. The Harmony flew beneath the enemy formation. The Defiance attacked from the left side. The Resolute came from above. This was not how space battles were supposed to work. The Korthok commanders had never seen anything like it. Their ships were designed for traditional combat. They expected their enemies to behave according to ancient rules of warfare. But humans had no such rules. "Target their engines," Dae-ho ordered. "We want to disable them, not destroy them." The human ships moved like sharks, attacking a school of fish. They appeared from unexpected angles, fired their weapons, then disappeared. Again, before the enemy could respond, the Korthok tried to maintain their formation. But it was useless against such chaotic tactics. Within 2 hours, half the Korthok fleet was floating helplessly in space. Their engines were destroyed, their weapons offline. The remaining ships began to retreat. "Captain, I have Veltar on the communication system," said Park Midashna. The Zephyrian leader appeared on screen again. But now his large eyes were filled with amazement instead of fear. "You came," Veltar whispered. "You actually came?" We sent our message into the void, hoping someone would hear us. But we never expected anyone to risk their lives for strangers. Ho felt something he had never experienced before. This was humanity's first contact with an alien species. Everything they said and did now would be remembered forever. We heard your call for help, Deho said simply. No one should have to face extinction alone. Veltar's expression changed to something that might have been a smile. What are you called? We are humans, from the planet Earth. Humans, Veltar repeated the word carefully. We will remember this name. We'll tell our children and their children about the day the humans answered our cry for help. As the last Korthok ships disappeared into hyperspace, Deho realized that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Their first act as a galactic species had been one of mercy. 3 weeks after the battle at Kepler 442, Ambassador Cho Hijin stood nervously outside the Grand Assembly Hall. She had never imagined she would be the first human to enter the Galactic Council chambers. The building was enormous, made of strange crystal that seemed to glow from within. Dr. Jang So-young walked beside her, carrying a translation device. Remember, we represent all of humanity now, she whispered. Whatever we say here will affect our species forever. Commander Baejun Ho, who had fought in the battle to save the Zephyrians, adjusted his dress uniform. I still cannot believe they agreed to see us at all. The massive doors opened with a sound like thunder. Inside, the chamber was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant insects. Others resembled walking trees. A few were just floating balls of light. All of them stared at the three humans as they walked to the center of the room. At the front of the chamber sat the High Counselor, a creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird. Its scales were deep purple, and its eyes glowed yellow. So the High Counselor said in a voice that echoed through the hall, "These are the Deathworlders who have caused such chaos in our galaxy." Cho Haijin had practiced this moment many times, but her heart still pounded. Honorable Counselor, we are humans from the planet Earth. We come in peace. A sound like laughter came from the assembled aliens, but it was not friendly laughter. It was the sound of beings who thought they were dealing with fools. Peace, said another council member, a tall being with 4 arms and no visible face. You destroyed half a Korthok fleet. You interfered in a sovereign military operation. You violated every law of galactic conduct. Dr. Jang So-young stepped forward. The Korthok Empire was committing genocide against the Zephyrians. You could not stand by and watch an entire species be wiped out. That is not your concern, snapped a third council member, who looked like a giant jellyfish floating in a tank of water. The strong dominate the weak. This is the natural order. It has been this way for millions of years. Commander Baejun Ho felt anger building in his chest. The natural order? You call murder and slavery natural? The High Counselor raised one clawed hand for silence. Tell us, humans, what did you gain from your intervention? What planets did you claim? What resources did you take? What trade agreements did you force the Zephyrians to sign? Cho Haijin looked confused. We gained nothing. We took nothing. We simply helped because they needed help. The chamber fell completely silent. The assembled aliens stared at the humans with expressions of shock and disbelief. You gained nothing, repeated the 4-armed being slowly. Nothing at all. That is correct, Cho Haijin replied. We asked for nothing in return. A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. It was Veltar, the Zephyrian leader. He had been allowed to attend as a witness. Honorable Council, what the humans say is true. After they saved our world, they offered to leave immediately. They asked for no payment. They claimed no territory. They demanded no tribute. They simply wished us well and prepared to return to their own space. The jellyfish-like, being pulsed with agitation. This makes no sense. No species acts without self-interest. There must be some hidden purpose. Dr. Jang So-young realized that the aliens truly could not understand human motivation. Their entire civilization was built on the idea that every action had a selfish reason. On our world, she said carefully, we have a concept called compassion, which means caring about the suffering of others, even if they are strangers. even if helping them costs us something. Compassion, the High Counselor repeated the word as if it tasted strange. You risk your lives and your resources for beings you have never met, simply because they are in pain? Yes, Commander Beijun-ho said firmly.
Yes.
We believe that all. Intelligent life has value. We believe the strong should protect the weak, not exploit them. An alien that looked like a walking crystal formation began to vibrate, making a sound like breaking glass. This seemed to be how its species showed. Extreme emotion. Impossible, it said. Such behavior would lead to the collapse of civilization. If the strong always helped the weak, there would be no progress, no advancement, no order. Cho Hai-jin looked around the chamber at all the different species. But what kind of progress is built on the suffering of others? What kind of order? Requires some beings to live in fear while others grow rich from their pain. Veltar spoke again from his place in the witness section. The humans did not just save our lives. They showed us something we had never seen before. They proved that there could be kindness between species. They proved that the galaxy does not have to be a place of endless war and exploitation. The High Counselor leaned forward in his chair. You realize what you have done? News of your actions has spread across the galaxy. Weak species everywhere are sending distress calls to your homeworld. Oppressed peoples are rising up against their masters. The entire balance of power is shifting. Good, said Commander Beijun-ho, without hesitation. Maybe it is time for that balance to change. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers and alien sounds of disbelief. The humans had just challenged the foundation of galactic civilization. 6 months had passed since the rescue of the Zephyrians, and Captain Park Jin-woo could barely keep up with all the messages flooding into Earth's communication systems. He stood in the command center of Luna Station, humanity's largest space facility orbiting the moon. The room buzzed with activity as dozens of officers worked at their stations. Another distress call, sir, reported Communications Officer Oh Dae-yoon. She looked tired. For weeks, she had been working double shifts to handle all the incoming messages. This one is from the Altair system, a species called the Corvals. They say the Drakmari Empire is forcing them to work in dangerous mines. Park Jin-woo rubbed his forehead. The messages never stopped coming. Every day brought new cries for help from across the galaxy. Species that had suffered in silence for centuries were now reaching out to the humans who had saved the Zephyrians. What about the call from yesterday? He asked. The Tau Ceti colonies? Still waiting for a response, sir? We have 17 active distress calls now. Command is trying to decide which ones we can actually help with. The door to the command center opened, and Admiral Song Mi-kyun entered. She was the highest-ranking officer in the human space fleet, and she looked as overwhelmed as everyone else. Captain, we need to talk, she said grimly. The situation is getting out of control. They walked to a private office overlooking Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, but Park Jin-woo knew that down there the government was in crisis mode. Every world leader was arguing about what humanity should do next. The Galactic Council is furious, Admiral Song began. They are calling us a destabilizing force. The Drakmari Empire has threatened to attack any human ship that enters their territory. What about our allies? Park Jin-woo asked. That is the interesting part. We are gaining allies faster than we expected, the Centaurian Collective wants to form a trade partnership with us. The Altarian Republic has offered to share their medical technology. Even some former Korthok worlds are asking to join what they are calling the Human Alliance. Park Jin-woo looked out at the stars. The Zephyrians started all this, didn't they? When we saved them, we showed the galaxy that things could be different. Back on Zephoria, the changes were even more dramatic. Dr. Kwon Hyan-woo worked alongside Zephorian scientists in an underwater laboratory. The aquatic beings had developed amazing biotechnology that could heal injuries in minutes. Combined with human engineering, they were creating medical devices that seemed like magic. The cellular regeneration process is complete, said his Zephyrian partner Killinara. Voice came through a special underwater communication system. You're broken. Bone should be fully healed now. Kwon Hyan-woo flexed his arm in amazement. 3 days ago, he had broken it in an accident. Now it felt better than before the injury. This technology could save millions of lives on Earth, he said excitedly. And our manufacturing techniques could help you build better cities. Kilinara's large eyes showed happiness. This is what Veltar meant when he spoke of partnership. Not one species ruling over another, but working together as equals. Meanwhile, on the military front, things were getting tense. Intelligence officer Lim Sung-ho studied reports from across the galaxy. World powers were not happy about humanity's growing influence. The Drakmari have moved 3 battle fleets to the border of Centaurian space, he reported to his commander. They are clearly preparing for something big. What about the Hegemony Council? Asked his superior. They're forming closer military alliances. The Korthok, the Drakmari, and 6 other species have signed a mutual defense pact. They are calling it the Stability Alliance. Their stated goal is to restore order to the galaxy. But even within the old empires, change was spreading. On a Korthak mining world, workers had stopped following orders. They had heard about humanity's rescue of the Zephyrians, and it gave them hope. The humans proved that the strong do not always have to crush the weak, said one worker to another as they refused to enter the dangerous mines. Maybe we do not have to accept this life anymore. Similar uprisings were happening on dozens of worlds. The idea that compassion could be stronger than conquest was spreading like wildfire. Engineer Nam Ji-hai was working on a joint project with Centaurian designers when she received an urgent message. "Ji-hai, you need to see this," her assistant called out. On the communication screen appeared a young being from a species she had never seen before. It had fur like a cat, but walked upright like a human. "Please, if any humans can hear this message, we need your help. The Vorthan Empire has invaded our world. They are taking our children as slaves. We have heard that humans help those who cannot help themselves. Please, we are begging you." Nam Ji-hai felt her heart break. How many species were suffering while the galaxy's powerful nations did nothing? The revolution that began with Captain Kim Dae-ho's decision to answer one distress call was now reshaping the entire galaxy. Species were choosing sides. The old order of exploitation and fear was crumbling, placed by something unprecedented in galactic history. Some called it chaos. Others called it hope. But everyone agreed on one thing: the galaxy would never be the same again. Passed since the first rescue of the Zephyrians, and Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood on the observation deck of the massive colony ship New Dawn, through the transparent walls. He could see children playing in the ship's central garden. Human children ran alongside young Zephyrians, their laughter mixing with the musical sounds of Centaurian younglings. "It is hard to believe this all started with one distress call," said Captain Lee Soo-jin, who now served as his second in command. She watched a group of kids from 6 different species working together to build a fort out of colorful blocks. Dr. Park Mina joined them at the window. She had become the Alliance's chief language expert, helping different species communicate. "With each other, the Zephyrians have a word for what we created," she said softly. "They call it Velthera, the Great Awakening. The moment when kindness became more powerful than cruelty." The New Dawn was not just any ship. It was the first colony vessel built by the Cooperative Alliance, a union of 49 species who had chosen to work together instead of fighting each other. They were heading toward an unexplored star system where they would build the first, truly integrated world in galactic history. Behind them, the galaxy had split into 2 halves. The old Galactic Council had collapsed completely. Its place stood 2 opposing groups. The Cooperative Alliance followed humanity's example of helping the weak and sharing resources. The Stability Hegemony, led by the Drakmari Empire, insisted that the old ways of dominance and control were necessary for order. "Admiral, we are receiving a message from Alliance Command," reported Communications Officer Yoon Taemin. He had been promoted after showing incredible bravery in 3 different rescue missions. On the main screen appeared the familiar face of Veltar, the Zephyrian leader who had first asked humanity for help. He was now the elected president of the Alliance Council. "My friends," Veltar said in his musical voice, "I bring news from the homeworlds. The Hegemony has signed a non-aggression treaty with us. After 2 years of tension, they have finally agreed to leave Alliance space alone." Dae-ho felt relief wash over him. There had been many close calls, moments when it seemed like the galaxy might explode into total war, but somehow peace had won. "What changed their minds?" asked Lee Soo-jin. Veltar's large eyes showed something that might have been amusement. Economics. The Alliance worlds are prospering beyond anyone's expectations. When species work together, instead of exploiting each other, everyone benefits. Even the hegemony. Leaders cannot ignore our success. It was true. The Cooperative Alliance had achieved things that seemed impossible. Sifarian biotechnology, combined with human engineering, had cured diseases that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. Centaurian trade networks merged with Altarian manufacturing had created prosperity for billions of beings. The alliance between former enemies had produced innovations that no single species could have achieved alone. There is more news, Veltar continued. 3 more hegemony worlds have requested to join the alliance, including one of the original Korthak colonies.
Dr. Zhang Soyoung,
Now the alliance's chief medical officer, smiled at this news. The same Korthak who attacked the Zephyrians in the first place? Yes. It seems their people prefer cooperation to conquest after all. As the New Dawn sailed through hyperspace toward their new home, Deho thought about everything that had changed. The ship itself was a miracle of cooperation. Its hull was grown using Zephyrian bioengineering techniques. Its engines were based on Centaurian quantum technology. Its life support systems used Altarian atmospheric processors. And its navigation was powered by human artificial intelligence. Admiral said engineer Namji Hai over the intercom, "We are approaching the target system. Initial scans show 3 habitable worlds. 1 ocean world perfect for Zephyrians, 1 desert world ideal for Centaurians, and 1 forest world that humans will love." 3 worlds, mused Captain Bajan Ho, who commanded the ship's security forces. Different environments, but we will make them work as one system. The colony ship dropped out of hyperspace, and everyone gathered at the observation windows. To see their new home? 3 beautiful planets orbited a yellow star, each one different, but perfect for different species. This would be the first star system where multiple intelligent species would live as equals from the very beginning. "Look at that," whispered a young human girl, pointing at the largest planet. "It is so pretty." Next to her, a young Zephyrian made musical sounds of agreement. They had become best friends during the journey. Despite being from completely different worlds, Deho realized that these children would grow up in a galaxy. It's very different from the one he had known. They would never think it was strange to have friends from other species. They would never accept that the strong must dominate the weak. They would build a future based on cooperation and kindness. "Do you think we made the right choice?" asked Yuntamin quietly. When we answered that first distress call, Deho looked around at the mixed crew of humans, Zephyrians, Centaurians, and others working together to prepare for colonization. He thought about the billions of beings across the galaxy who now lived in freedom instead of fear. "We did what felt right," he said simply. Everything else followed from that. The New Dawn began its descent toward the ocean world, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of countless species who had learned that the universe could be kind. If only someone was brave enough to make it so. Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.